Patrick Queen's tough on himself. He's tougher on himself than you or I or even his teammates and coaches could be. But he also understands that a 5-2 record is pretty good through 7 weeks of an NFL season. Good morning to you. Good, and I do mean good. Monday morning, I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates that I hope you'll check out as well. Steelers 37. You heard that right. Jets 15 last night at Acrisure Stadium. Things got a little bit edgy there in the first half. All kinds of doubts, fair and reasonable doubts at that, I'm sure were raised, especially as it related to Russell Wilson, who struggled a lot through those first 2 quarters, in particular with these curious low passes that he was making. But then the second half came along, and so did the defense, as usually seems to happen, shutting out the Jets the rest of the way. And yeah, even the offense came along. Might have come of age. I had my own doubts. I expressed those on this program all of last week. I also threw in some things that I thought if Wilson were to succeed at this, then he and the offense overall could succeed. But for the most part, they were doubts. How was he going to handle the constant pressure behind that ragtag line? How was he going to handle if the running backs didn't get much on first or second down? How was he going to handle if his second and third wide receivers didn't get the job done? Well, guess what? All 3 of those things manifested. And on top of those 3, he had his own struggles. In one sequence, probably the worst back-to-back passes you've ever seen an NFL quarterback make. Certainly one with Wilson's resume. But they kept throwing. They kept trying to spread the field a little bit. And most importantly, and this guy would actually be my player of the game, George Pickens, I thought, just turned the whole thing around. I'm trying to envision where all of this goes if George doesn't take how many underthrown balls, 3 or 4 deep balls by Russ that he had to either slow down for, stop for, or even come back for, and from there fight off the corner. Sometimes it was what absolutely should have been defensive pass interference flags that were never thrown, and he still made the catches, and he still moved the sticks and moved them a long way. And I feel like that alone allowed everyone on the offense to breathe. You're not going to just be stuck in one spot of the field. George is there. Throw it to George. Throw it into his solar system. And from there, everybody, including Russ, became more efficient. Russ kind of did it, if you think about it, through a lot of soft touch passes. His heaves weren't really connecting, even when they connected. But the soft touches that he had on, well, the touchdown to George, screen pass to Jaylen Warren, the early ball to Darnell Washington, another one later to Darnell in which he nearly annihilated Sauce Gardner from existence. And then the one that I thought was the prettiest of all of them, the rainbow arc that just came down into Pat Freiermuth's hands. Muth was telling me afterward that it was just beyond perfect. Well, his catch wasn't too bad either, and he had a big catch and run later as well. So you did see Russ bring to the offense what Mike Tomlin wanted him to bring. Tomlin had told 2 different TV networks over the weekend that he might as well have been the, quote, Lone Ranger, end quote, in terms of making this decision to start Russ over Justin Fields. He also would say that if and when he goes back to Fields, he's not going to switch back. It's not going to become a yo-yo. So I'm watching it, you're watching it, and that first half expires. There's no way it wasn't crossing everybody's mind that he could come out in the second half with Fields at quarterback, remembering that even though Tomlin tacitly acknowledged here that He just wants to see Russ. He wants to see more of him. He wants to see what he has in both of his guys. The game still mattered a lot. But he didn't do that. He didn't panic. He didn't pull Russ. He didn't put Fields in, even in one specific situation that I thought really kind of screamed for it. That was down by the goal line inside the 5 where Fields can run and it's pretty much automatic. He still stuck with Russ. And Russ delivered. Russ turned in a bona fide NFL-level quarterbacking performance, albeit not a clinic, in large part because of an understandable slow start with his not having played in 10 months. What's all this mean? Well, there's work to do. There's a lot of work to do in some areas, but I'll take an offense that puts up 37 points against literally any opponent in this league, never mind one that arrived with one of the better pass defenses around. I'll take a defense that, even though those first or second drives tend not to go real well against them, I mean, they turn into this house ablaze in the second half more often than not. And by the way, I'll take special teams that come up with 1, 2, 3 blocked kicks in as many games. Dean Lowry, who had the one in this game, told me the special teams guys dedicated that to Danny Smith, who challenged them to do exactly that all week long. That's all good stuff. That's all the makings, at least the beginnings or the next step of a good football team. Even though I don't know that there are many of us who see them that way. I brought this up with Queen, and I loved his answer.
I think the world that's the whole problem with the whole world now, is just everything's negative. There's never like a positive thing with the world. So, internally we don't care. We know every single day we come in with a smile on our face, we're positive. And that's the only thing that really matters, as long as we're positive with each other. All that outside noise, we could care less. We just show up and do our job. He's right.
I mean, he's right. In just the business that I'm in, negativity, most unfortunately, is what sells. But when you're 5-2, I mean, I don't know the exact percentage of 5 into 7, but I know that you're doing way more good things than bad. When we come back, J1Q. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents injured people in automobile accidents, workers' compensation cases, and medical malpractice claims. The attorneys at Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George pride themselves in doing what they say they're going to do. It's important to them that when they make you a promise, they keep that promise. And this law firm has been keeping promises for over 80 years. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George has been AV rated. That's the highest rating a law firm can receive for legal ability and ethics. And the lawyers at the firm have been designated super lawyers, that's a real thing, for over 15 years. Rare combination there. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them at lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. Again, that's 888-842-5454. Today's J1Q comes from Martin, who says, DK, how great has Deshaun Elliott been? Seems like he's shown up week after week. He has. And when we're talking about positives, and when we're specifically talking about positives that go largely unrecognized, Elliott probably should top the list. All this guy's done, and I'm talking about not even just in these 7 games. I'm talking about through the preseason, through training camp. All he's done is make plays. He's athletic. He's aggressive. He's also really analytical out there. In football, but especially at the top level, if you're not attacking the opponent instinctively, then chances are really good that you're not attacking the opponent at all. Because if you got to think about where you need to be, you're already slowing yourself down. Elliott came in, learned this offense over the summer, and has implemented it in a way that it's honestly not fair to expect of a guy in his first year with the team. I mentioned some of Queen's struggles. Queen has mentioned some of Queen's struggles. Now, Queen's in a little bit of a different boat because he's got the green dot. He's got to call the defenses. He never comes off the field. But one of the things that was really brought to my attention last season in a way that it had never been done before was what a new player to a team goes through. We tend to forgive and forget with rookies or even second-year players. They're new. They'll figure it out. They're learning. This is only year fill in the blank. But we don't think of it that way necessarily when it was Landon Roberts, Cole Holcomb, and Quan Alexander showing up. All of them new, all of them being tasked with trying to fill a position that's been pretty close to impossible to fill since Ryan Shazier's injury, and they got there. They said it wasn't going to be quick, and it wasn't quick, but by about weeks 4 or 5, they got there. And of course, 2 of the 3 got hurt. But Elliott just showed up, and it's like he speed read the X's and O's, went right down onto the grass at Chuck Noll Field and said, "Hey, who's ready to play football?" I mean, the guy's been unbelievable. And I dare say, and this might be unpopular, but he's probably doing more to take heat off Minkah Fitzpatrick than anybody or anything else. Because while we're still waiting for what I think most of us still think is the real Minkah, there has still been exceptional safety play in all ways, from coverage to recognition to riding right up there against the defensive line to support on the run. He's done a little bit of everything. Actually, no, he's done a lot of everything. Once more, my friends, 5-2 overall. First place in the AFC North. 4-1 inside the conference. Save the complaints for some other day. There's another New Jersey team coming in next week, and they're probably even worse than this New Jersey team was. I appreciate the question, Martin. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. Make sure you tune in today at 4 p.m. Eastern for the new Double Shot of Steelers. Same place you find this program.